Greta, would you ask him because he's not answering me?
He's talking to her.
No, he's on. He just said 2 minutes. Well, okay, so you can hear me. Okay, thank you.
Okay, TK, do I need to make any adjustments before we go live? Do we have a guest? Okay.
Really? Should I text her?
He gives me the high sign. I got my phone over here. He'll tell me.
Hmm.
No worries. We communicate via text the whole show.
Cover the first half hour, and we'll talk to you later. Would I do that to you?
Yes.
Yeah, in a minute.
Yes. I know.
By the way, I think we better offer Dan an option. This might work if we tape the show earlier.
It might. Yeah.
Excuse me. That'd be fine with
I'm
me.
fine with it.
I'll get in touch with him and see if it's better if we tape it like 3 o'clock or
Yeah.
something.
And I don't
That's
like
fine.
driving in this crap anyways.
I don't either.
Dark, dark, dark.
Dan's having trouble getting here,
Mhm.
so I'm wait. Yeah, that's the idea.
Now I ran all the podcast sites and
All
got
right.
the information.
I
the
texted her.
advertising, so,
Good.
Yeah, we'll be ready when we get together.
We need to
TK, I
also
just
find some
texted
time.
Rosemary.
Do.
I told her to call in.
Got you.
Well,
Yeah,
no, she got your information because she told me today she got it.
She's a doctor. She'll be on it. I was a doctor forever.
Is she on?
My wife is falling in love with the new show on yesterday. God help me.
Really?
Oh, good. Listen.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. Good evening.
We have a doctor in the house.
Okay.
All
She's so funny. All right.
All right. Phones are off.
We're going live in a few seconds, guys.
Yep.
right.
Please flick my hair one more time.
Oh, please.
All right. Will too.
Okay.
Welcome everybody. It's Tuesday night. It's 6 o'clock. It must be time for All Things Brunswick. We got a great show for you tonight. Dan is off paying his deeds for being bad again, and we'll let him back in a couple of weeks, maybe.
No.
But we'll see him again. But Greta's decided to fill in with us, which is a big improvement. So we're getting from there. Mary's back. Mary, say hello, guys.
Hi.
Hi. And Dan, he didn't mean that.
Yeah, I did, Dan.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, Dan. Every
No,
word
he
of it.
didn't.
But we'll get even. Anyway, Mary, who's our guest today?
Tonight, we have a special guest, Dr. Rosemary Fernandez Stein. She is a leading parenting and child advocate, owner and founder of IFC Pediatrics with 20 years of experience. She's a child and a parent advocate, like I said. She's her children and their well-being are her passion. Her book that just came out, Who Needs a Village? It's a mom thing, is one of her most recent accomplishments. Hello, Rosemary. I'm fine. How are you? Good to hear from you.
Thank you so much. Missed you guys.
Good to talk to you again.
It's nice to hear you too, Mr. Bill.
Tell us a little bit about your book.
Well, it was an interesting coincidence of events when the book came out. Back when I was running for superintendent of public instruction of North Carolina, and this young man just walked up to me and said, I would like to offer you a book deal. I didn't know who he was, and I figured that any book deal offered like that was probably for his advantage and not necessarily mine. It happened that it was Harry Stein, who, among other things, the grandson of Jacob Stein that wrote Fiddler on the Roof. One of my all-time favorite musicals, because I'm from New York. And so the real thing. And what they wanted was a parenting expert and medical person to talk about her or his perspective on parents and sort of compare it to when we were growing up and a bit of what we're seeing now. I said, wow, that's my area of expertise. And so that's where the book came. But as a little aside, it can be really weird. But growing up, I knew all along that I was going to write a book. And I felt that was just going to happen. So Dave and I had tried other hands at writing a book. In fact, we had written a book about the differences in parenting between Bach parenting and parenting that's traditional. That's what the book let. So when this offer came, I was amazed that it would source like that, but also I would be able to write specifically what I had on my mind about what we need to talk to parents about, which is parent-centric parenting versus child-centric parenting, and what the difference is.
I love the title.
Thank you. Thank you. I do. We came up with this in the clinic. It's actually two of my nurses who said it. They said, it's a big deal that everybody says it takes a village. It's not a village. It's a mom. It's a mom thing, doctor. And so that's where it came from.
That's great. This is Greta. Rosemary, she'd like to ask you a question.
Hello, Dr. Stein. Do you, by chance, have a headset or earbuds, or could you move a little closer to the computer? Because you're breaking up a little bit.
Oh, I'm so sorry that I
No,
am.
we just want everybody to hear you clearly.
All right. I don't know if I have one available right now. I wish I would have thought about that. I probably could hook one in and do that. Does that make the voice me sound better? And is it
Your
better
voice
if I
goes out. When your
is
voice
it
goes out on broadcast, it'll be fine. It's just that you were breaking up in transmission, like when you have a bad cell connection.
Mm-hmm. Is it
And
still
that's
doing that?
probably more distance from the microphone than anything else.
Okay, I can put this up to me, or I can open up my own computer but I would disconnect and then have to connect.
Let's see if just coming close works.
Just see if coming close works, and then we'll take it from there.
Right.
All right, so I'm pretty close now. I just had it down on the table. Maybe that was part of it.
We
And-
can hear
And
you.
I hear
we
you
hear
better
you
now.
better. We do hear you
Yeah.
better.
You did great.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
that's good.
this is Bill again. I got a personal question for you. I've known you forever since that young lady of yours was 12 or 13 years old. How old is she and what's she up to now?
Oh, she's beautiful.
Oh, this is wonderful. Thank you so much. She is 23 years young.
God.
She is attending medical school. Of all places, she's attending medical school in the Dominican Republic. She's attending my alma mater.
Yeah.
3 years ago, before COVID, Dave said you should have her see your alma mater. She had a couple of other ideas where she wanted to go to medical school. We visited the Dominican Republic and went to these beautiful beaches. We took one day to go visit my medical school and meet the people there, to show her where her mom went to school. And she looked around and she said, "Mom, this is where I'm supposed to go."
That's great.
Would you say hello for me? Because it's been a while.
I will. And she's doing a double thing. So she's going to medical school and she's in her second year of medical school. She's doing very well, but she's also doing a master's in public health at George Washington University at the same time as she's going to medical school. So the kids that we thought was a bit not studious and just a little on the lazy side, I can say this, I'm her mom, has blossomed. And so for every parent out there who is very frustrated because their child does not seem to be interested in success and studying, you just pray and you stick with it because their time will come.
She's beautiful. You must be so proud.
We are very proud of her, and I'm proud of her accomplishments. But even without her accomplishments and going to medical school, I am proud of her.
Yeah.
She's a
And
good
I'll
kid.
bet she's going to be pediatrics. Am I right?
She does have an idea that she'd like to do pediatrics, but she might want to do a subspecialty like either
What a
ER
surprise.
training
Mom and
or
dad
surgery.
specialize in that. What a surprise.
Speaking of pediatrics, Rosemary, can you tell us what illnesses are out in our communities right now that we should be concerned about?
Wow, that's a great question. We're not getting, this is, I'm going to get this right off the table, but we're not getting a lot of positive for COVID. We are getting some strep, RSV, not a lot of flu right now, but I'm very suspicious about these COVID negative tests because the symptoms are very COVID-like. They have abdominal pain, body aches, headaches, terrible headaches. The kids tell me that's the worst headache they've ever had.
Right.
Cough and congestion. So it's so much of an array of symptoms that it's reminding me of COVID. And then we've even gotten kids that have said that they can't smell and taste anymore. Now that's really reminiscent of the old COVID, but it's just not testing positive. So I'm on the lookout and want to let parents know to have the kids have their hand sanitizer, to make sure that they're taking their vitamin C, their vitamin D, that they're not sharing snacks with other kids, because I want our kids to remain as safe and as healthy as possible.
Absolutely. Um, I have a concern, and I was hoping that I had read on child obesity, the fact that they are thinking of doing various things, surgery included.
Yeah.
Do you want to comment on that?
Absolutely. So I was asked by, I think it was one family now. It's a sort of a Christian or conservative family network news, to comment on the fact that medications are now being advocated by a leading pediatric group for 12-year-olds and more, and surgery as a first-line choice is being advocated for 13 years and more. But the thing is that if we go straight to medications or surgery, we're not getting to the root of the problem. Children have a way of coping and dealing with things that lead to their overeating and sometimes obesity. And so that's what we really need to be dealing with in our homes, that these coping mechanisms or maybe some behaviors that are not healthy are the things that are triggering for the child to overeat. Sometimes they eat just things that are very unhealthy, and they might not be overweight, but it gets to the same thing, which is a child that is unhealthy. Those are the things that we should be addressing first. Pediatrics, as much as parents, it should really come from the parent first and foremost. And some of the stuff, these things that need to be done in our home are the most difficult things to do. Waking the kid up early, having breakfast at home, maybe packing a lunch, teaching them to have healthy eating habits, healthy coping mechanisms, not eating snacks after dinner, making sure that they stay active. I mean, I could go on and on and on, but when we do these things and we change our habits as well as the child's habits, and we don't think that we're just going to just put them in a little box, that then we start changing the overall way that children deal with things, and that's healthy. But I really don't agree with jumping straight to these things. Not only we're not fixing the root of the problem, but
Right.
we're adding to problems later on. I mean, this is surgery in a 13-year-old. I mean, I don't know about advocating that in a 13-year-old when they don't have, a surgical kind of problem like appendicitis and and those kinds of problems. That's not an easy decision to make. It should be made with thoughtfulness. You should have tried other methods before you get to that. Same thing with medications. These medications are relatively new. We've known from in the past that they can harm the liver. They might be harmful to other body organs. So that we really have to think about having the other steps done first before we turn to these secondary steps. It's the same for many things. They're primary steps, first line treatment and second line treatment. Well, I'm not saying that they have no usefulness at all, but they definitely should be second line treatments, but that's not what's being advocating by this leading pediatric group.
Do you think that this obesity has become worse since video games came into being? Because I know a lot of children that spend more time in front of the TV than they do outside.
I think it's just become worse in general. And video games are probably a contributor. Junk foods that are easy to obtain have also become a contributing factor. Fast food was also a contributing factor. Sedentary lifestyles, where they're not only in video games, but they're on their phone all the time. I think school lunches have been contributing to them. What was there actually to help parents and to decrease their load, I think has actually not helped us in advocating for our children and making healthy foods. They just go in like a cafeteria and choose everything. Well, and if you think about it, when we were children, the obesity level was very, very low. I'm
Yes.
thinking back to 40 to 50 years ago. It was quite low. Even if you were just a little bit plump, you were considered to be really overweight, because children were just not overweight for the majority. And none of these things existed. To go out to even eat at McDonald's or Burger King was a huge treat. I mean, you would do that, if anything, once a month, once every other month, but it certainly wasn't a frequent circumstance. And so if you think about all the things and how society has changed, then you realize that we're building up bad habits for our children. And because this is the world that we live in today, we are reticent to break some of those habits. But it's a family thing. I mean, we really, as parents, we have to sit down, think about what we're doing, because these are lifetime issues. Your child is 8, and if they're weighing 100, 120 pounds, what are they going to be when they're 22? And are they going to be diabetic? And are they going to have dialysis because of that? They have a long life to live. And so we can really be good advocates for them in helping them. And no, they're not going to like it, but they are 8 and 12. So we understand that they're not going to like it. And we sort of guide them toward the place where we know they're going to have a nice, healthy, long life.
What advice do you have for a parent who has 1 or 2 obese children, and how do they get them involved and, shrink it? Because we don't want any fast food diet, if you will, or fads. So what advice would you give that parent to try to turn it around?
I think one of the first things is if you're a 2-parent home, I think to sit down and have a conversation around the table and ask the kids, what can we do? And I can be a little healthier. I can lose a little weight. What can we do? What suggestions do you have? And I'm going to be the secretary. This could be the mom and the dad. And I'm going to write down your suggestions. Let's have a little bit